Hey there guys, I hope you're well. Welcome back to Just Chatting Football. This is yet another predictions video. It is myself once again going up against Charlotte. What happened in game week 25? Well, Charlotte, she ran away winner in that one, so she now takes the series score 13-7. So a nice big lead there for Charlotte at the moment, but there are still plenty of game weeks ahead for me to try and mount a comeback. Now, before we get into our game week 26 predictions, can I just ask, if you are new here, please do subscribe to this channel. If you like what you see, hit the like button, that really helps me out, and hopefully we can slowly grow this. We will bring out more content and we will see where we go. Now, it is game week 26. There are 17 games in this game week. That is because a number of the Premier League teams are still in FA Cup action, and the games that those teams will have been playing around the time of the FA Cup quarter-final week, those games have been moved to this week. So there's quite a condensed set of matches for a few teams at the moment. We've got Sky, who's featuring behind us today. So another little mini family affair in this video. But let's get straight into our predictions for game week 26. Now, as I mentioned, there are 17 games in this game week, so I'm not going to waffle on for too much about each game. I'm just going to try and get through our predictions as quickly as we can, so this video is as short as possible. Now, we start the game week with Manchester City, the current leaders, taking on West Ham, who are in a good patch of form at the moment. City, they beat Arsenal last time out 1-0, only needing a second-minute goal. They cruised in that game. They never really got out of second gear in that one, and they were comfortable. They were comfortable and won that game 1-0. West Ham, they continue to impress. They beat Tottenham Hotspurs 2-1. Antonio getting the first goal and Lingard picking up his third goal for West Ham in 3 or 4 games, I think it is, picking up the second goal there for the Hammers. Spurs, they tried to mount a comeback. They played better in that second half, but it just wasn't enough to get them across the line, and West Ham ran out winners. So who do we think are going to win this game? Charlotte, she is backing a West Ham win, which might surprise a few people. It surprised me when she pulled that prediction out of the bag, but it's going well for Charlotte's predictions at the moment, so she could be onto something crafty with that one. Myself, I can't see anything but a City win. Yes, they weren't at the top of their game against Arsenal, but they didn't need to be. Arsenal are quite poor at the moment. Then we move from a top of the table clash into a bottom of the table clash. We have West Brom versus Brighton and Hove Albion. It's the two Albions. It's the Albion derby. West Brom, they drew 0-0 last time out against Burnley. They went down to 10 men. They got a red card in the 30th minute, I think it was. They went down to 10 men, but they still bossed that game. They could easily have won it. They just didn't capitalise on their opportunities. Brighton, they lost 2-1 to Palace on Monday night. They continue to be punished for their lack of killer instinct in front of goal. Brighton, they tend to dominate possession in games. They tend to create a lot of chances. They had 75% possession in that game against Palace. They had 25 shots, but only 5 were on target. So once again, a game that Brighton dominates, just not going their way. So how do we see this game going between these two? Again, I feel like Brighton should win, but West Brom have been playing some nice football of late as well, so I can't split them. I am backing a draw. Charlotte, she continues to be impressed by Brighton. Not so convinced that West Brom can keep up this decent football that they've been doing of late consistently, so she is backing a Brighton win. And we move from there to Leeds versus Aston Villa. Now, Leeds, they lost their last game out 1-0 to Wolves last Friday. They do play again tonight. I am recording this on Tuesday, so they play again tonight against Southampton before the Champions League kicks off again. If Leeds win that one, they have the opportunity to go 10th and knock Arsenal down into the bottom half of the table. In the Wolves game though, Leeds once again, they dominated the stats in that game, but they just couldn't find their way to netting any goals. Rui Patricio denied 7 of their shots on target in that one. Villa, on the other hand, they continue their roller coaster form of late. They lost 2-1 to Leicester. They just didn't hit the target enough with only 2 shots on target in that one. So Leeds versus Villa. Charlotte, she's undecided on this one. She's going to sit on the fence. She is going for a draw. I think Villa, they could probably get something out of this. I've been impressed with Leeds, but I think Villa will take the opportunity to bounce back from their last game and nick a win in this. Next up, we have Newcastle United taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, last weekend, Newcastle lost 3-1 to Manchester United, and they now sit only 3 points off the relegation zone. Sorry, team fans, but if you lose this one and Fulham win their game in this game week, then you'll be in the relegation zone. Now, they're certainly missing Callum Wilson. They need him back sooner rather than later for them to pull away again from that drop zone. Wolves, they beat Leeds, but only through an own goal from Meslier. It was Adama Traore rocket of a shot. It thundered off of the crossbar, hit Meslier on the back and cannoned into the goal. So a bit of luck got them the win in that one. How do we see this one playing out? Well, I am going to back a draw. I think Newcastle have been playing well of late. I think they'll get a draw out of this one. Charlotte, she is backing a Wolves win. She thinks that this game will result in a bit of pressure being put on Newcastle down near the bottom of the table. And then we move on to the game which is just as important for Newcastle as their game against Wolves. We have Crystal Palace versus Fulham. Now, Palace, they beat Brighton on Monday night, as I mentioned earlier, scoring with their only 2 shots on target. Brighton certainly deserved a bit more out of that game. Fulham, they beat Sheffield United 1-0 and pretty much dominated that game. Lookman has been playing beautifully of late. They're playing some nice attacking stuff. If they can capitalise on a lot of the opportunities they are creating a bit more, then they could climb their way out of that drop zone. As I mentioned, a win here could put them above Newcastle on goal difference if Newcastle lose their game. So a couple of big games here down near the bottom of the table. I am going to back a Fulham win. I don't think they'll go above Newcastle though. I do think Newcastle will get at least a draw in their game. Charlotte, she is backing a Crystal Palace win. Again, Fulham been playing very well, but she doesn't think that they'll capitalise on their opportunities, and Crystal Palace could nick this one like they nicked the game against Brighton. And then we move on to Leicester versus Arsenal. This is a big game for Arsenal. They need to start turning their form around to start creeping up the top half of the table. As I mentioned earlier, Leicester, they beat Villa 2-1 in their last game. Arsenal, they dropped more points at home against City, and they never really looked like troubling the current leaders of the table. How do we see this one playing out? I think Brendan Rodgers' Leicester will just have too much for Arsenal. I'm not sure Arteta is the man to take Arsenal forward. So yeah, a home win for me. Leicester going to win this one. Charlotte, she's backing an Arsenal win. She is backing Arsenal to start turning their season around and start climbing back up the table. Next up, we have Tottenham Hotspur versus Burnley. Spurs' poor form continued with their loss against West Ham at the weekend, pushing Spurs down to 9th in the table. Not looking good for a team that were pushing towards the top of the table back in November. Burnley, they were quite disappointing in their 0-0 draw against West Brom. West Brom went down to 10 men in the 30th minute. That meant Burnley were playing with a man advantage for an hour. Over an hour of the game, they had a man advantage and just couldn't capitalise. West Brom was still pretty much all over them with a man less. So not the best performance in that game for them, but they did still come out with a point. How do we see this one going? Burnley, we were impressed a couple of games ago when they suddenly turned on the flair and style. That dropped off against West Brom. Spurs, again, poor run of form recently, but we are backing Mourinho to nick a win in this one. A combination of Son and Kane, who they heavily rely on, will be enough to break down a Burnley defence. And then we move on to a big game for Chelsea, a big game for United. It is Chelsea versus Manchester United, funnily enough. Chelsea, they drew their last game out 1-1. Still undefeated under Tuchel, but wasn't the best showing for them. Yet again, not capitalising on recent poor form by their opponents. Chelsea continued to play heavily possessional football, but just not being clinical enough in front front of goal, sadly. United, they did beat Newcastle 3-1, but they were under the cosh for large parts of that game. Ollie says that the title race isn't over, but I really don't think that they are title contenders. They do not have enough consistency in their team, and they rely far too heavily on Bruno Fernandes, as I've mentioned many times before. How do we see this one playing out? We are going for a draw. We're both going for a draw in this one. We can't split it. Yeah, we're going to sit on the fence. Then next up, we have bottom of the table, Sheffield United against Liverpool. Sheffield, as mentioned, they lost a very key battle at the weekend against Fulham. It's pretty much all but curtains for them. They play some nice football, but they're not getting the results. They're not getting the goals. Liverpool, they continue their slump of form. They lost last time out against Everton. They've now lost 4 games on the bounce, which is the first time since, like, I don't know, 1920 something. Yeah, just not in the best run of form at the moment, but they're coming up against a team at the bottom of the table. Now, last time out, this game ended in a tight 2-1. Sheffield actually took the lead in that one, and Liverpool fought back to win it 2-1. Could be another tight game, especially on current form, but we're both going to back a Liverpool win. We think they'll pick up their first win in a while. And then we come to the team that beat Liverpool last time out. It is Everton versus Southampton. Now, as we mentioned, Everton beat Liverpool 2-0 last time out. First time winning at Anfield since 1999 in the league. Everton now only sit 1 place behind Liverpool in the table, separated only by goal difference, and they have a game in hand over their fierce rival. So very soon, Everton could be sitting above Liverpool. Southampton, they ended their 6-game losing streak against Chelsea. That finished in a very deserved 1-1 draw for them. They probably could have actually won it towards the end with a looped header that bounced off of the crossbar. So Chelsea got away with one there. How do we see this game playing out? Charlotte, she's impressed with Everton. She thinks they will have too much for Southampton, so she is going for an Everton win. I feel like Everton should win this one, but you never know what you're going to get with Pickford in goal. Sometimes he can be world class, like in that game against Liverpool, but generally there's a lot of mistakes in him. So I am going to go for a draw. I think Ings could probably get a goal. And now we move into the extra 7 games. We've got through 10 predictions, we've got 7 more to go, and I'm just going to cannon these off. So, Manchester City versus Wolves is our first midweek game. The reverse of this fixture was the opening game of the season for Manchester City, and they beat Wolves last time out 3-1. Wolves, they just haven't shown enough of late that they can really challenge in this game. They lack a striker at the moment with killer instinct. So we are both going to go for a Manchester City win in this one, and they will just continue to increase their lead at the top of the table. That moves us into Burnley versus Leicester. The reverse of this fixture was a 6-goal thriller, which Leicester came out winners, winning 4-2. Again, that game was very early on in the season, back in September. I think there could still be goals in this one, but probably not as many, as Burnley have kind of tightened up at the back since then. I think we're going to see some stunning saves in this one from both Pope and Schmeichel. 2 very good goalkeepers on show in this one, but we are both going to back a Leicester win. We think they will have enough just to break through that Burnley defence and maybe win it by 1 or 2. Sheffield United versus Aston Villa is our third midweek game. Last time out in the league, Villa won this fixture 1-0 at home. Since then, they've been scoring for fun in some games. Sheffield United, they are flagging down at the bottom of the table. Good performances of late, but not getting the results. How do we see this one playing out? Well, I am going to back an Aston Villa win, and Charlotte, she is backing a draw, sitting on the fence for this one. Next up, we have Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. Palace won the reverse of this fixture 3-1 back in September, but I don't see that happening again. We're both going for a Manchester United win here. Palace, they are really lacking goals. Even though they got 2 last time out at the weekend, they're just lacking consistent goals in that team. And United, they have Bruno Fernandes. And then we have another London derby of late. We have Fulham up against Tottenham Hotspur. The reverse of this one was played back in January, so not too long ago. That was a last minute rescheduling game, and that match ended in a 1-1 draw. Fulham, they've been playing some very nice football of late. They've certainly solidified at the back, and they are playing some nice attacking football. Spurs, not so great, so this could be a very interesting London derby. Charlotte, she is backing a Tottenham Hotspur win. I'm going to sit on the fence. I think Fulham could cause a bit of an upset in this one. Not so much that they'll win it, but I'm going to back a draw. Next up, we have West Bromwich Albion versus Everton. Back in September, Everton demolished West Brom 5-2 in this reverse fixture. At the time, Everton were looking very solid. They were towards the top of the table. In fact, I think this might have taken them top of the table at the time. Since then, injuries have caused a bit of a dip in form here and there. West Brom, they've started to play some nice attacking football of late, but again, not quite doing enough to get themselves across the line. We both back a Everton win in this one. They've just got too much in attack for West Brom. And then another huge game, we have Liverpool taking on Chelsea. Chelsea with an opportunity to extend a gap over Liverpool if Chelsea have done well against Manchester United earlier in the week. In the reverse of this fixture, first half was quite equal between these teams. Then Christensen gets a red card in stoppage time of the first half. Liverpool capitalise on a man advantage, a couple of quick-fire goals from Mane, and they come out winners in that 1-2-0. Chelsea haven't beaten Liverpool in the league since May 2018, so Tuchel will be looking to change that run against Liverpool. For me, Tuchel has to win this game against a very poor Liverpool team at the moment. They've got a lot of injuries, their attack isn't firing on all cylinders. This is an opportunity to turn that form against Liverpool around. It's a must win, so I'm backing a Chelsea win. Charlotte, she agrees, she is also backing a Chelsea win. And that concludes all 17 fixtures for this game week. There is a lot to play for in this game week, a lot of games to go, so this could go either way. I do think myself and Charlotte have very similar predictions for maybe 4 or 5 of these games, but there's plenty of other games this week that could cancel each other out. So yeah, very excited for this game week. Lots of games coming up, lots of big games coming up. Let's see how we go. Once again, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and please do share this with people that you think might be interested in this content. As I say, more content of a different nature will be coming out, still football focused, but not just predictions. That will come out soon. And yeah, look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching.